Jerry Fritz, the chair of Money Talks, and also the president of the Colorado Springs Coin Club. And we are the host club for the show, so hope you're enjoying yourselves so far. The United States has created many beautiful silver medals in recent years. Some of them are underappreciated. Others have sold out within minutes of going on sale. The Mint has invested new energy into its modern silver medal programs. Explore them and learn how to build your own valuable collection. Our speaker this morning is Dennis Tucker. He's an award-winning numismatic researcher, a member of the U.S. Treasury Department's Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee, and author of American Gold and Silver, U.S. Mint Collector and Investor Coins and Medals Bicentennial to date. As publisher at Whitman Publishing, he specializes in nonfiction topics such as banking and finance, the American presidency, military history, and numismatics. Join me in welcoming Dennis Tucker.
Thank you for that introduction and welcome everybody. Hope you're having a great show so far. My name is Dennis Tucker and I am a coin collector. I am actually more of a token and medal collector, to be honest with you. Thank you. And as I was telling Kathy Freeland earlier this week, I've been a collector since I was about 7 years old, and my brother Mike gave me a 1937 Buffalo nickel, which I thought was about the neatest thing I had ever seen. Probably worth 15 or 20 cents at the time. He also showed me a red book, and I read it from cover to cover, as so many of us do when we first discover the hobby. And two of my favorite parts of the red book were everything in the front and everything in the back, the tokens and medals. It really caught my eye. By the time I was 14 or so, I had bought my first medal. It was a little 1924 British Empire exhibition medal. Probably, I don't imagine it's even worth $10 today, but that was my start in the exonumia part of the hobby. As was mentioned, I am the publisher at Whitman Publishing. I've been doing that since 2004. In 2016, I published my first book, American Gold and Silver. And after writing my first book, I will never crack the whip with Whitman authors ever again because I realize it's a lot more work than you imagine when you first start out. But it's a lot of fun. And I'm a member of the Treasury Department's Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee, which has been an eye-opening experience and also a lot of fun. And I get to do a lot with tokens and medals, or medals, I should say, in that position. So how many people here actively collect medals in addition to coins? Okay, yeah. So I'm not educating you probably when I tell you that the Mint has a tradition of creating medals that goes back to the early 1800s. And then an act of 1873 authorized production of medals of a national character. For example, for the 100th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1876. I like to think that what I would call the Mint's modern silver and gold medal era started with the end of its commemorative coin program in the 1950s. As you know, the United States Mint had been creating commemorative coins since the 1890s, but by the 1930s or so, the programs were being abused a bit. There were individuals who were lining their pockets. There were coins that really didn't seem like they were of a truly national character. And so in the early 1950s, that program was ended. Congress just got fed up. And there was a period from 1954 to 1982 when there were no commemorative coins made by the United States Mint. However, the Mint continued to make national medals. And these were created and struck at the Treasury Department's discretion or by legislation, and they satisfied some of that collector demand for wanting coins or coin-like objects that commemorate people, places, and things that are of historical significance. In 1966, a federal commission was formed to start planning the celebration of the 200th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And a coins and medals advisory panel was set up. Some of its members include folks who are still active in the hobby today. Clifford Mishler was a member. Eric Newman, who I believe is 106 years old now and still actively researching, was a member as well. And a public law in 1972 authorized the striking of a national medal which would honor the significance specifically of the year 1776, and then up to 13 other medals that would honor important events and people in our nation's history. There ended up being 4 sterling silver medals that were struck in this series. As you can see here, in 1973, it honored Patrick Henry and Samuel Adams. In 1974, John Adams. 1975, Paul Revere in the lower left, and in 1976, Thomas Jefferson. And the number of units sold, the number of medals sold, ranged from about 100,000 to 200,000 pieces, which is considerable. And I that's something to keep in mind as we look at modern, more modern medal programs of the U.S. Mint. This was the national medal, called the National Bicentennial Medal, that was made to mark the year 1776. The obverse is by U.S. Mint Chief Engraver Frank Gasparo. You can see his name down there. And this was offered in 7 different versions. There was bronze, there was gold-plated bronze, sterling silver, and gold. And it was struck in up to 4 sizes, the largest one being 13 ounces of gold. So those are worth some money today. Very popular series. The Mint actually ended up having to send out a press release apologizing for delays in production and distribution because people ordered so many of them. There were 2 versions that were done in sterling silver, a dollar-sized 1-ounce proof, and which today is probably worth about $25, which was its issue price at the time, and an 8-ounce, 3-inch antiqued finish, which today is worth about $200 to $300. You can actually find these for close to their melt value. If you hunt around eBay, probably go to flea markets or what have you. So I know the title of my topic was Collecting for Fun and Profit. For me as a collector, the fun is the profit, but there are opportunities to get some really amazing medals for close to their silver value. And like I said, Frank Gasparo, very famous designer, you can add his work to your collection for not a lot of money. This is a neat medal, significant since we're in Denver today. Colorado was the only state to join the Union in 1876. Before that, Nebraska had joined in 1867, and after that, in 1889, it would be the Dakotas, Montana, and Washington. So because of its unique status, Colorado celebrating its 100th anniversary during the nation's bicentennial year, Congress authorized this Colorado Statehood Centennial Medal. And like the bicentennial medals, the national medals, it was issued in bronze, gold-plated bronze, silver, and gold. And of course, it was produced at the San Francisco Mint. No, I'm sorry, it was produced at the Denver Mint, of course. And it was the first commemorative medal made here at the Mint. I think it's a neat design. The reverse is just kind of the logo of the Centennial. Both the obverse and reverse were designed by Colorado artists. And I just like the obverse design. You've got a bearded pioneer. He's looking out over a vista of the land of promise. He's got a pickaxe. He's got his pack. He's on his horse. So I think it's just a really neat medal. Today, the bronze versions have more sentimental value than any real retail value in the market. but and the silver medal, you can again find this for probably $20, $30. So it hasn't really kept up with the rate of inflation. If you tend to look at things that way, the issue price was $18.76 to go along with the date of 1876. It contains a little over a half ounce of silver. So if it's a neat medal, well designed, and probably one that most coin collectors don't know about. This is a very impressive medal as well, and it's the Valley Forge medal. Again, designed by U.S. Mint chief engraver Frank Gasparo. And this was minted in Philadelphia, and it was minted for the United States Capitol Historical Society, which was founded in 1962, chartered by Congress to educate the American public on the history and people of the U.S. Capitol. From 1978 to 1991, they issued a series of 14 annual medals commemorating people, places, and things relating to the American Revolution. Of those medals, this first one in the series was the only one that was authorized by a public law. So this actually had congressional legislation as if it were, a commemorative coin. As I said, designed by Frank Gasparo, minted in Philadelphia, and I think it's just a remarkable portrait of George Washington at Valley Forge. You've got a couple of his soldiers in the background. He's got a fire going. You've got the York Courthouse on the reverse, and it honors Old Glory, the 200th anniversary of the Articles of Confederation, and the adoption of the American flag. About 2,000 were minted in sterling silver in a 1 ounce dollar-sized format, and today those are worth about $50 or so. Again, on eBay, you might be able to snag one for less than that. And only about 1,000 were issued in a larger 3-inch, 8-ounce format. And Joe Levine had one in his price list maybe a year and a half ago, which he emails. And I saw it, and it was a good price, and I immediately emailed him. Probably 20 minutes had passed since it arrived in my inbox, and it was already sold. So there are folks who know about these medals, and they know a good price when they see it, and they appreciate them. So, but you can still find them if you look hard enough. Like I said, there are only 1,000 out there. This is the Philadelphia Mint Coinage Bicentennial medal. This one kind of has something for everyone, going back to the early days of American numismatics into the modern era. This medal was issued as part of a set with a proof American silver eagle and a gold piece, and it's again something you can find this slabbed by PCGS or NGC, and it's a very popular piece, very well done. You can see the mint mark there. It was struck in Philadelphia. I wanted to show a couple. I'm showing these in slabs again just to illustrate that these are pieces that you will find professionally certified and encapsulated and graded, which can affect their value. The Young Astronauts medals, this was a program issued in 1988 for the nonprofit Young Astronaut Council, which was created by the White House Office of Private Sector Initiatives to encourage kids to study and have an interest in science, math, and technology. They had a common reverse, which is the logo of the Young Astronauts, and all of them were, they were designed by school children, but they were engraved by Philadelphia Mint sculptors. The silver medal, there was a bronze, a silver, and a gold. The silver medal was designed by 11-year-old from San Diego and engraved by Jim Lickeritz, who just retired recently from Philadelphia. Shows an astronaut saluting on the moon with the American flag. And it was, these were issued in 4 silver versions, 90% fine and 99.9% fine, up to 12 ounces. So they're kind of neat. I don't really see a lot of these on the bourse. Probably at an A&A show, you'd have a greater chance of finding them. But they're things that you'll occasionally see in dealers' inventories. The Benjamin Franklin Firefighters Medal. This is an interesting example to me of, this could just as easily be a silver dollar. This could be a commemorative silver dollar. It was not issued as a coin. It was issued by public law as a medal, and the legislation authorized up to 1.5 million to be struck, which was ambitious. But it commemorates Benjamin Franklin's contributions to the fire service in the United States. He formed the first fire service in Philadelphia in 1736. The medal was designed by Thomas Rogers on the obverse and T. James Farrell on the reverse, both sculptor engravers from Philadelphia. And it was struck on silver planchets used for the American Silver Eagle. So it contains an ounce of 99.9 fine silver, and it's a little bit bigger than a silver dollar. It was sold for about a year, priced at $33 for the proof, $29 for the uncirculated, and today you can find them for about $40. 26,000 were issued in uncirculated and 89,000 in proof. So, not a bad number of medals in the series. I've talked with different dealers about this medal, and the general consensus is if this were an actual commemorative coin, sales would have been higher. The fact that it doesn't have legal tender status just means that some coin collectors are not going to be interested in it. More recently, in the last few years, the Mint issued silver medals honoring presidents of the United States. These were packaged with their presidential dollars, the gold manganese pieces. And to me, these are just, these are remarkable recreations of wonderful designs by American, great American mint sculptors and designers. 2013, we had Theodore Roosevelt. 2014, Franklin Roosevelt. 2015, Harry S. Truman, Dwight Eisenhower, and John F. Kennedy, and Lyndon Johnson. I want to talk now about the American Liberty high relief silver medals, which started in 2016. The gold coins that the medals are based on were born in 2015. And the high relief gold coins were issued as part of the Mint's effort at design and production excellence. Ed Moy used to talk about wanting to see a renaissance of American coinage, a new renaissance. And the Mint described this piece as one that renders contemporary designs using the latest in modern digital and manufacturing technology. And this was kind of an extension of the 2009 high relief reproduction of the St. Gaudens double eagle from 1907. What I'll show you now are some of the sketches that were reviewed by the CCAC as part of the process of designing the gold coin and then the accompanying medal. These were reviewed before I started on the CCAC in 2016, but I came in on kind of the tail end of the process for what became the 2017 coin. So you can see on the left we have the coin version, on the right we have the medal version, and the main difference is the coinage legends are not required on the medal. So In God We Trust, E Pluribus Unum, and United States of America are removed from the medal. So the artist has to kind of think in two different levels as they're designing and moving elements around. This is one of a portfolio of design sketches and proposals that were given to the CCAC and also to the U.S. Commission of Fine Arts, which is a body that reviews coins and medals. So here we have a sampling of obverse sketches, and you can see kind of traditional Greco-Roman images of liberty as a European woman. We have the symbols of the torch, which symbolizes enlightenment, a sword, which liberty needs, Miss Liberty needs for fighting for freedom when necessary, and shields, which defend freedom. Neat designs. And then other designs started to veer from what we might consider the traditional European look of the depiction of Miss Liberty, reflecting America's modern diversity. This sketch depicts an obviously African-American image of Miss Liberty. Again, the coin on the left and what would be the medal on the right. CCAC Chair Mary Lannon made a statement saying, this is an opportunity. This program is an opportunity for America to look at its depictions of liberty and start to maybe modernize a bit and reflect our diversity. Here's another one with a more African-American look and feel. Ultimately, this standing portrait of Miss Liberty was the one that was chosen by the CCAC as its recommendation to the Secretary of the Treasury. The Secretary, of course, is the person who makes the final decision. The CCAC is just an advisory body, as is the CFA. He ended up agreeing that this was a good choice for the coin and for the medal. The reverse sketches show eagles in various traditional and more unusual poses and forms. Some are stylized, some are realistic. You have one flying over the Statue of Liberty. They're carrying laurels as they fly, kind of perched atop a fasces there. So and this is just a sampling again. I think there were about 20 different reverse designs, and the committee reviews all of them as it makes its recommendations. This, of course, is the final design of the medal. You see the obverse and the reverse. It sold out, sales started on August 23rd, 2016 at 12 noon, and it was sold out by 12:06. So my personal experience was, I think I'll hop on the website, and I knew that the mintage was low, 25,000 altogether, 12,500 from San Francisco, 12,500 from West Point. The price was $34.95, very reasonable. If I remember correctly, there was an order limit of 2, which is okay because it's a low mintage. I called the mint. They told me that my debit card had changed, which was true. I had a new debit card, so I had to update that. I figured, that'll take a minute or two. And by 12 minutes after, I was dead in the water. I didn't get my medal, so I'm going to have to buy one on the secondary market. Within days, of course, if you read Coin World and Numismatic News, you know that these went up to $200 or so from the $35 that you would have paid. Things have stabilized a bit now. You can still find them that high if they're slabbed in high grade, which most of them are. But you can buy them raw in the Mint's original packaging for about $100. So you still triple your money if you look at medals and collectibles in those terms. The sketches for the 2017 the high relief gold coin and silver medal continue to show an even greater embracing of diversity. These were minted for the 225th anniversary of the U.S. Mint's coinage. Miss Liberty was shown as African American, she's shown as Asian, young and old, technological, agricultural. There might be designs that you don't like, they don't really say anything to you, but I think you have to admire the Mint staff and the Mint's leadership's dedication to innovating with some of these designs. The symbolism, we have a dove being released into freedom. The coronet inscribed with liberty is obviously a very old numismatic American tradition. And the portrait at the right was one that the CCAC had taken note of in 2015 and said we would like to see this back in a portfolio in the future for future consideration. And it appeared again for the 2017 medal and coin. The reverses, again, a lot of wonderful depictions of the American eagle, realistic, stylized, holding a flag, and more. To me, many of them seem angry or defiant, which I found interesting, even militaristic. I mean, this one on the bottom left, it's screaming. I may have gone too far, but I told the Mint, to me it looked like a turkey buzzard. I'm from upstate New York, so I'm used to, you see turkey buzzards up there. Anyway, a rich diversity of different designs. These were the designs that were recommended by the CCAC and ultimately chosen by the Secretary of the Treasury. Miss Liberty is shown as a young African-American woman with a crown of stars, which is reminiscent of the crown on freedom, the statue on top of the U.S. Capitol building. And it's also an element that you see on the standard silver pattern coins of the 1860s and 1870s. So there's a kind of a hearkening back to some American numismatic tradition. The reverse, a very nice eagle in flight, very well done. If I have any complaint about the format of the medal, is that the designer's initials and the mint mark on the reverse, I would almost want them to be positioned differently. They're kind of scattered about in the lower area, and to me they're a bit distracting. But I'm not really sure how I would recommend fixing that, if it does need to be fixed. This has been offered so far in a proof from Philadelphia. Later in the year, there'll be formats in proof from Philly and San Francisco, reverse proof from Philadelphia, enhanced and circulated from West Point, and an uncirculated version from here in Denver. So those will be sold in a set. The Philadelphia proof started at $59.95. There was no ordering limit, no mintage limit. It's still for sale. In the first day of sales, 24,233 were purchased. So it's starting to reach that sellout rate of the 2016 medal. And I just checked the Mint's website yesterday to get their latest statistics. As of July 30th, just over 40,000 have been sold. So to me, that's very encouraging for the future of medal collecting. I hope that's a good sign. I'll quickly run through some future designs. Again, I think these World War I silver medals show a commitment by the Mint to start to explore more silver medal opportunities for collectors. In 2018, the Mint will release a silver dollar marking the centennial of the end of World War I. And they decided to also release a set of 5 medals that represent the 5 branches or services of the military that operated in World War I, with the possibility of a 6th medal, which was recommended by the CCAC, which would honor the involvement of women in the war effort in the home front and elsewhere. So I don't know yet if that 6th medal is going to happen, but for sure the military service and branch medals will. And when I looked at the portfolio of medal proposals or design proposals for these medals, I felt like we had an opportunity, and I really wanted to have an obverse and a reverse that was medallic. My recommendation was that we not just show the emblem of the service or branch on the reverse. It would end up looking like a challenge coin. It's been done before. But our liaisons to the different branches said, you know what? That's what people are going to buy. That's what our members, active or retired, want to see. So, it makes sense to give them what they want and to honor them in the way that they want to be honored. So here for the U.S. Army, we see a nice image on the obverse of Doughboy standing at the ready, and he's ready to go over there and fight. For the Navy, we have a destroyer at sea, an exploding depth charge in the background, and reconnaissance, kite balloons, very active scene. Again, we have the legend over there, and on the back we have the emblem of the U.S. Navy. For the Air Service, which was not yet the United States Air Force, but it was part of the American Expeditionary Forces during World War I, we have a neat view, side view and a top view of a biplane. So that's, this was actually not my first choice. We saw a wonderful portfolio of designs. Some of them were much more active, showing scenes of dogfights, aerial dogfights, but this was the one that was voted and ranked by the CCAC as our recommendation. And again, you have the wings emblem of the Air Service on the reverse. For the Marine Corps, a very interesting scene of the Battle of Belleau Wood. And this was one that really spoke to our liaisons to the Marine Corps. Obviously, a very important battle for the Allies, and something that every Marine holds dear in their memory. We have on the left a figure of a Marine who is kneeling after the battle in remembrance of his comrades who fell. And on the right, we have a Marine who is standing at the ready with his bayonet, and he's ready to protect and defend freedom. And on the reverse, the emblem of the U.S. Marine Corps. For the Coast Guard, I really like this design. This is a very active scene. We have a lifeboat from the cutter Seneca moving toward the torpedoed steamship Wellington. And it's just, it's got motion, it's got drama. You've got these Coast Guardsmen, ready to do their duty during the war. And on the back, we have the Coast Guard emblem as well. So I think these will be very popular. I think they'll sell well. I think they have an audience that's kind of built in. A few different audiences. I mean, coin collectors will enjoy them, and then members of the military will enjoy them as well. And to me, it's promising to see that the Mint continues to innovate with themes and designs and minting formats, different finishes, and knock on wood, the future will continue to bring more innovation like this. Maybe, different finishes, like antiquing or patination. That's something I asked Don Everhart about in public at our last meeting of the CCAC, just to get him on the record. For the Filipino veterans of World War II Congressional Gold Medal, I asked him, for the bronze version, would it be possible to go back to some of the antiquing and patination that the U.S. Mint used to do, instead of just the flat kind of golden bronze look? So, and he said yes. I mean, technically they can do it, and they would love to work on that. It'll be interesting to see if there are more medals that are minted and planned to kind of accompany commemorative coins. This is something that the Treasury Department has the authority to do without congressional legislation. So there can be experimentation in that area. This is probably, this is not news to any of you. There are hobby groups for medal collectors, the Token and Medal Society, which I'm a past governor of, and try to be as active as I can. And I promise to write more articles in the future. They're online at tokenandmetal.org, and Medal Collectors of America is also online at metalcollectors.org. You can go online and learn more about what they do, and talk to folks who collect medals and are just as passionate as you are. And I'll just leave you with this note. I'll see you on the boards. Please don't look for things I'm looking for. Don't buy anything I want, but enjoy the hobby. Thank you for your time, and I'll take questions now, if anyone has any questions. That question was from Roger Burdett. I appreciate that. And his question was any consideration given in the World War I medals to honoring the American ambulance service that was started early in the war? And I don't believe there was. There's I think they were focusing on the main military branches and services. Like I mentioned though, the CCAC did recommend that we look beyond just the military aspect or the fighting aspect of the war and honor women's involvement, which would have been more on the home front. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see if anything comes of that. Yes, sir.
How many approximately silver medals have been created by the Mint?
Oh gosh, that's a good question.
I mean, is it hundreds? Is it thousands? I have no idea.
I haven't numbered the specifically the silver medals. Bronze medals, you know, the entire range of medals made by the U.S. Mint is hundreds. You know, they started in the 1800s with mint buildings, mint superintendents, and other officers and things. And of course, the Mint creates congressional gold medals by congressional authorization. Roger, do you or anybody else have an idea?
The big jump in medals occurred after the War of 1812.
I'm sorry?
After the War of 1812, there was a big jump in government medals because the Navy wanted to honor just about everybody who served, or that's what the armies thought. Before that, they'd been limited to primarily presidential medals, which were the Indian Peace medals right here, and a few others.
So are there some silver ones that are essentially impossible to find and obtain without super deep pockets or something?
Well, you know, that's a great question. There's one that I studied in my book. It's called the Rittenhouse Medal for Excellence. And this is, probably most collectors don't know anything about this. It's struck on the American Silver Eagle planchet, and it's done in proof. It has a portrait of David Rittenhouse, the first director of the U.S. Mint, and it's issued only to Mint personnel to honor their work. You know, it's a significant work. Security officers, police, technicians, you know, communications people. So I estimate that there's probably been about 300, maybe 400 of those made, and I would consider them non-collectible because they're presented to you as an honor. They're in your collection until you pass away, and then they're given as part of your estate to your heirs. But of course, you could say the same thing about, you know, Nobel Prize medals and other awards and things that eventually end up in the secondary market. I think it'll be a long time before we see any of those.
The Token of Medal Society issued R.W. Julian's book, The Medals of the United States Mint, the first century, 1792 to 1892. And that lists 1792 to 1892 stuff. And there's a lot of silver medals in there, slightly out of the scope of the modern stuff.
Yeah.
But that's a very good book.
There were, as I mentioned, the medals that were struck in that interregnum between commemorative coin, the classic and modern commemorative coins. There were dozens, I think it's safe to say dozens of silver medals struck in that time period. The United States, of course, issued medals before the 1800s, but they were often struck in Paris also. Yes?
Do you see anything in larger format coming out in the medals? I know that the ATV series is in 5 ounce, and primarily 1 ounce here.
Well, the congressional gold medals are offered in a 3-ounce bronze format. They sell for, I think, either $39.95 or $49.95. And that's a nice big medal. It's, you know, they're thicker than anything you'll see in a U.S. coin. They're bigger than anything except for the ATV silver pieces. You're right though, most of them are either silver dollar size or American Silver Eagle size. I can't predict what the Mint would do, but I would imagine that they'll stick to the larger format for bronze rather than going to silver. But wouldn't it be neat to see silver that big, silver medals? You know, high relief, different formats and finishes and things. That's the direction I hope the Mint is moving in. Other world mints, you know, certainly are doing exciting things, and I think the U.S. Mint is as well. How are we doing on time?
About 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay. It's,
It's
excuse me for my lack of knowledge of what I'm trying to explain to you, but a couple years ago, I remember seeing honoring the presidents and the president's wives, and I think they were coming out like in sets of per year, like 5 per year, and I believe it started in 2007, and a couple years ago, I saw or read something about the presidential wives for the first year of 2007, and initially, I think they were made out of bronze, and they were selling for like $5 a set, $4.95.
Mm-hmm.
But the first year it came out, the first wives was like $100. And
Oh.
I don't know, I haven't seen any more of those, or I haven't heard anything.
The question was about the first spouse gold coin series, which had an accompanying metal series. So similar to what we see with the coin and metal combinations that I showed you in this presentation, each of the half-ounce gold first spouse coins had an accompanying bronze medal. And $4.95 sounds right. You know, I never actively collected those. I probably should and probably will. Whitman Publishing came out with an album for the medals. And so, yeah, I didn't know that they were going for, I don't know if maybe slab they would go for $100 or something. But I imagine those are part of the Mint's list and would just be struck to order. I don't know if anybody else has followed that series. You know, so
The $100 one may be the gold coin rather than the
No, this was for
Well,
the bronze.
it was for the
It
bronze,
for the first
okay.
year, and it was for the set for the year, not one.
I'll look into that. I'm curious now because, you know, a lot of the Mint's medals, they will just keep them as part of their permanent catalog. You know, so you could buy it for $4.95 in 2007 or 8, and you could buy it for $4.95 today. There might be some difference over the first spouse medals. So
Where can I find them on the floor?
the medals themselves?
Yeah, but that set.
I don't know if you'll be able to find them on the boards of a you know, maybe at the ANA, you know, or a bigger show like the ANA. I would say check out the Mint website, and they're probably still selling them, you know, for a nice collectible price. If you want to learn more about the First Spouse program, you check out my book, and that's not a pitch. You can borrow it for free from the ANA. But I studied that First Spouse program for the gold coins, and there's a lot of history there, a lot of neat designs. Yes, sir.
How far back does your book go on the Mint silver medals?
I decided to start in 1976 because that's the bicentennial, and also it was around the era when gold was again made legal for the average American to own after the prohibitions of the Great Depression. In 1974, President Ford made it legal for Americans to own gold again. And that's when the American Arts Gold Medallion program started, which was kind of a baby step towards the American Eagle program, which was much more popular, much more successful. The American Arts were, again, they were medals and not coins, so they didn't have legal tender status. That turned off a lot of investors, especially in Europe, but also Americans. They just, you know, were not excited about them, even though they're neat designs, and so many of them were melted over the years that their low mintages, already low mintages, are really very low field populations today. So, and you can find them for their gold value, or even under their gold value in some cases.
There's one more question.
Okay. I think that might do it. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.